You're just being dramatic again, my mother sighed, barely glancing up from her phone as I doubled over in pain at the breakfast table. Eat your breakfast and get ready for school. My name is Emily Parker, and at 16, I've been fighting a battle not just against my mysterious illness, but against my own family's disbelief. Mom, please, I whispered, clutching my stomach. Something's really wrong. The pain is getting worse. The room was spinning and black spots danced in my vision. My father slammed his coffee mug down, making me flinch. Enough, he snapped. Your mother and I are tired of these attention-seeking stunts. You've already made us late for work 3 times this month with your so-called emergencies. I tried to stand to prove I could push through like they wanted, but my legs gave out. I crashed to the floor, knocking over my chair. Instead of helping me up, my mother just rolled her eyes. And the Oscar goes to, she muttered. My younger sister Katie watched from across the table, her face a mixture of concern and confusion. At 12, she'd been taught to believe their narrative, that her big sister was just a drama queen looking for attention. This had been my life for the past 8 months. It started with fatigue and dizziness, then progressed to severe abdominal pain and unexplained bruising. Each new symptom was met with accusations and eye rolls from my parents. They were pillars of our community, my father a successful businessman, my mother head of the PTA. Their perfect daughter couldn't possibly be sick. Get up, Emily, my father ordered. You're going to school. I somehow made it to my feet, using the table for support. My vision swam, but I knew better than to complain. Last time I'd insisted on going to the hospital, I'd been grounded for a month for wasting their time and money. School was a blur of pain and exhaustion. My once perfect grades had started slipping, giving my parents more ammunition. See, this is what happens when you spend all your energy pretending to be sick instead of studying, they'd say. My best friend Olivia was the only one who believed me. She watched me deteriorate day by day, powerless to help. During lunch, I could barely keep my food down. You're getting worse, she whispered, watching me push my untouched sandwich away. You need to see a doctor. They won't take me, I replied, my voice hollow. They think I'm doing this for attention. That's when it happened. The pain in my stomach suddenly became unbearable. I tried to stand, but the world tilted sideways. The last thing I heard was Olivia screaming my name as everything went black. I woke up in the nurse's office with Mrs. Hanson, our school nurse, looking down at me with deep concern. Emily, I've called your parents, she said firmly, and this time they're going to listen. My parents arrived looking annoyed and embarrassed. We're so sorry about this, my mother started, her public face firmly in place. Emily has been. Mrs. Parker, Mrs. Hanson cut her off. Your daughter's blood pressure is dangerously low. She's showing signs of severe anemia, and those bruises on her arms are not normal. As a mandated reporter, I cannot let her leave without proper medical attention. My father's face darkened. Are you threatening us? No, Mr. Parker, I'm protecting your daughter. Either you take her to the hospital now, or I'm calling an ambulance. For the first time, I saw uncertainty flicker across my parents' faces. Their perfect facade was cracking. Fine, my father snapped. We'll take her. But when they tell us there's nothing wrong, you'll be hearing from our lawyer. The drive to the hospital was tense. My mother kept muttering about attention-seeking behavior, while my father gripped the steering wheel so tight his knuckles were white. I sat in the back seat, fighting waves of nausea, silently praying that this time someone would finally figure out what was wrong. In the emergency room, the doctor ordered immediate blood work. My parents sat impatiently, already crafting their angry speeches about wasted time. But when the doctor returned with my results, his face was grave. Mr. and Mrs. Parker, he said, his voice serious. We need to talk about your daughter's blood work. The look on his face made even my father sit up straighter. For the first time since I'd gotten sick, I saw fear in my parents' eyes. Something was very wrong, and this time they couldn't ignore it. The doctor's words hit like thunderbolts in the small examination room. Emily's blood work shows severe abnormalities. Her white blood cell count is critically high, and her platelets are dangerously low. We need to admit her immediately. My mother's perfectly composed facade cracked. What exactly are you saying? We need to run more tests, the doctor replied, his eyes fixed on me with genuine concern. But these results are consistent with leukemia. The word hung in the air like a heavy cloud. Leukemia. the thing I'd secretly feared during those long nights of unexplained pain, while my parents dismissed every symptom. My father stood up abruptly. "This is ridiculous. Our daughter was fine just months ago. She's been making up symptoms for attention, and now you're encouraging it with these dramatic diagnoses." The doctor's expression hardened. "Mr. Parker, I have your daughter's blood work right here. These numbers don't lie. If we don't start treatment immediately, your daughter's life is at risk." My mother's face had gone pale. But she was just being dramatic. You thought wrong," the doctor cut her off firmly. "And frankly, I'm concerned about how long Emily's symptoms have been ignored. How long has she been complaining of pain?" "8 months," I whispered, my voice barely audible. The doctor's jaw tightened. 8 months? 8 months of untreated leukemia? He turned to my parents, his professional demeanor barely containing his anger. "Do you understand what you've done by delaying medical care?" My parents stood there, speechless for the first time I could remember. The perfect image they'd worked so hard to maintain was shattering around them. Everything moved quickly after that. I was admitted to the oncology ward, where a kind nurse named Maria helped me settle in. She took one look at my bruised arms and exhausted face and promised, "We're going to take care of you now, sweetheart." My phone buzzed with a message from Olivia. "Mrs. Hanson told me what happened. I'm so sorry, Em. I knew something was wrong. I should have done more." I texted back with shaking hands. "You believed me." That was enough. My parents sat in a corner of my hospital room, looking lost and small. The perfect Parker family image was crumbling. My mother's makeup was streaked with tears she couldn't hide anymore, and my father's authoritative presence had deflated into something almost unrecognizable. The oncologist, Dr. Matthews, came in to explain my treatment plan. "We're looking at aggressive chemotherapy," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "The cancer has progressed significantly due to the delayed diagnosis." My father tried to interrupt, but Dr. Matthews held up her hand. "Mr. Parker, I need you to listen. Your daughter's cancer is advanced. If she had received medical attention when her symptoms first appeared, we might be having a very different conversation." The weight of those words seemed to physically hit my parents. My mother started sobbing while my father slumped in his chair, his face ashen. "I tried to tell you," I whispered, tears rolling down my cheeks. "I begged you to believe me." That night, as I lay in my hospital bed surrounded by beeping machines, my little sister Katie was finally allowed to visit. She crept into the room, her eyes wide with fear and confusion. "Emmy," she whispered, using my childhood nickname. "Are you really sick? Mom and Dad said you were pretending." I patted the edge of my bed, and she carefully sat down. "They were wrong, Katie. I've been sick for a long time." She burst into tears. "I'm sorry I didn't believe you. They said big sisters sometimes do things for attention, and I pulled her into a gentle hug, ignoring the pain from my bruised arms. "It's not your fault. You're just a kid. They're the adults. They should have known better." Outside my room, I could hear my parents arguing with Dr. Matthews about my treatment plan, still trying to maintain some control over the situation. But their voices no longer held the same authority. Their words were tinged with desperation and guilt. Maria came in to check my vitals, shooing Katie out with a kind but firm reminder about visiting hours. As she adjusted my IV, she noticed me wiping away tears. "You know what the strongest medicine is?" she asked, straightening my blankets. "The truth. It hurts at first, but it's the only thing that really heals." I nodded, understanding she meant more than just my physical illness. The truth was finally out, and while it was devastating, it was also liberating. No more being called a liar. No more dismissing my pain. No more pretending. As night fell over the hospital, I heard my mother crying in the hallway, my father's muffled voice trying to comfort her. How did we not see it? What kind of parents are we? That was the question that would haunt them for a long time to come. 3 months into my chemotherapy treatment, my life had transformed completely. The hospital became my new home, with its rhythmic beeping machines and the constant flow of nurses and doctors. My hair fell out, my body weakened, but strangely, I felt stronger than ever before. Not physically, but emotionally. My parents' transformation was even more dramatic. Gone was their perfect facade, replaced by something raw and real. My mother stopped attending PTA meetings, spending her days instead in my hospital room, desperately trying to make amends. "I brought your favorite books," she'd say, arranging them carefully on my bedside table. "And I talked to your teachers about sending your assignments." Her voice would trail off, catching on the guilt that now constantly haunted her. My father's change was quieter but deeper. The man who once dismissed my pain now flinched at every wince, every grimace that crossed my face during treatment. I caught him crying in the hallway one night, talking to Dr. Matthews. "I failed her," he sobbed, his voice breaking. "I was supposed to protect her, and instead Dr. Matthews' response was firm but compassionate. "The best thing you can do now is be there for her. She needs support, not guilt." The truth of my condition had spread through our community, shattering the perfect image my parents had worked so hard to maintain. Their friends, who once praised them as model parents, now whispered behind their backs. The judgment in people's eyes when they looked at my parents was unmistakable. But something unexpected happened amid all this chaos. Without the pressure to maintain appearances, my family began to heal. Not just me, but all of us. Katie became my fiercest protector. She'd march into my room with determination, armed with board games and stories from school. "Jimmy Peterson said you were faking being sick," she announced one day, her chin held high. So I told him he was an ignorant bully and that he should educate himself about cancer. Just like Maria taught me to say. Maria, my favorite nurse, had become family in her own way. She was there during my darkest moments, during nights when the pain was unbearable and the fear overwhelming. "You're the strongest person in this hospital," she'd tell me, adjusting my medications. "And don't you forget it." Olivia visited every day after school, bringing homework and gossip and normalcy. She'd seen the truth all along, and now she made sure everyone else did too. She started a fundraiser at school for cancer research, wearing a bald cap in solidarity when I lost my hair. 6 months into treatment, Dr. Matthews called a family meeting. My parents sat rigidly in their chairs, holding hands so tight their knuckles were white. They'd learned to fear medical updates, carrying the weight of their delayed response to my symptoms. But this time, Dr. Matthews was smiling. "Emily is responding well to treatment," she announced. "The cancer cells are decreasing. It's still a long road ahead, but she's fighting hard." My mother broke down crying. Happy tears this time. My father just gripped my hand, unable to speak. "However," Dr. Matthews continued, her expression serious, "I'm recommending family counseling. What happened before Emily's diagnosis needs to be addressed." For once, my parents didn't argue or try to maintain control. They simply nodded, accepting that their perfect facade wasn't worth the price we'd all paid. The counseling sessions were hard but necessary. We talked about the pressure of appearances, about why they refused to see my illness, about how their denial had almost cost them their daughter. Slowly, painfully, we began to rebuild trust. 1 year after my diagnosis, I sat in Dr. Matthews' office for my regular checkup. My hair was growing back in soft patches, and my latest blood work showed promising results. "You know," she said, reviewing my charts, "when you first came in, I was angry at your parents. I've seen cases of medical neglect, but rarely from parents who cared so much about their children. They just cared about the wrong things." I nodded, understanding what she meant. "They changed," I said quietly. "We all have." That evening, my family gathered in my hospital room to celebrate my latest clean scan. Katie had made a card covered in glitter, "For my brave big sister." My mother brought real homemade soup instead of trying to pretend hospital food was just fine. My father sat quietly, but his eyes never left my face, as if still afraid I might disappear if he looked away. "I'm sorry," he said suddenly, his voice thick. "We should have believed you, should have listened." "I know," I replied, reaching for his hand. "But you're listening now." Sometimes the hardest truths are the ones that heal us the most. My illness had shattered my family's perfect facade, but in doing so, it had allowed something real and honest to grow in its place. We weren't perfect anymore. We were better than that. We were real. Maria popped her head in, smiling at our little gathering. "Look at you all," she said warmly. "Now that's what healing looks like." And she was right. We were all healing, not just from cancer, but from the lies we told ourselves about what family should look like. The truth had set us free, even if the path to it had been harder than any of us could have imagined.